Greetings and, of course, welcome to the People's Movement Show. This platform serves as one on which Guyanese and others are at liberty to discuss matters of national interest. I'm elated to know that I'm joined by those who have a very clear understanding of what it means to hold elected officials accountable and also what it means to have an independent mind, to be deemed an independent thinker. This country, Guyana, South America, is desperate for those who are capable of thinking independently and operating collectively. This evening or tonight, the pleasure is mine to sit with you here and to engage in matters of discussion, as you can see, speaking to the truth about Mocha Arcadia. And additionally, this by now viral and very, very popular discussion about quote unquote leaked a voice recording among Roysdale Ford, the treasurer for the PNC, the other person being, and Jaipal or Mahipal. Welcome. It is indeed a pleasure of mine to have you here this evening. Can you see and can you hear clearly in reference to the quality of the broadcast? I have a great interest in the quality of the sound and the video that you are able to experience or enjoy. As long as I get that feedback from you, I'd be happy for us to proceed in this discussion. This is a follow-up in reference to the Mocha Arcadia situation. This is a follow-up from last week and within the week itself, where we had a discussion last Sunday evening. Jinnah Rahman and Oren McDougall and I had a discussion. Thank you for the feedback there. And in that discussion, I was adamant that the people, the residents, some who would have lived in that plot of land for 30 plus years, were being treated with scant regard. Oren McDougall, being one who was a councillor, an independent councillor in Port Morant, in that constituency, or one of the constituencies in Port Morant, shared a viewpoint of his. And in reading your comments, I realized that many of you were not in agreement with Oren McDougall's viewpoint, neither was I. And I, not because of that, but in reference to my interest in society at large, I went to have the people of Mocha experience through others, including my family, kindness and being treated, or trying our best to have them realize and be assured that they are very important to us. They still mean a lot to us. And as a result of that, we were able to interact with them, and I took it as a sense of responsibility to go and walk on those grounds and to see what we deem to be ground zero, where the demolition that the whole world, according to the PPP terminology, the whole world saw. I have video clippings and footage of that interaction with these people, and I would like to share that with you, and also have a discussion with Brother Jinnah Rahman. With that said, I'd advise you to please like the People's Movement page. We have been promising you every so often that we begin to stream from that page. I do not want you to miss these broadcasts, which is what delays my streaming from there. However, in the not too distant future, the People's Movement Show will be aired directly from that page. My live broadcast, as long as I'm dealing with the People's Movement Show or the People's Movement, I will be on that Facebook page of ours. So permit me to welcome Brother Jin if he's ready. Brother Jin Raman, I welcome him to the broadcast platform at this moment. There
I'm
he
here.
is.
I'm here. I'm here.
Welcome, and thank you for being here with us as always. I know that you are also very, very occupied, but this discussion is warranted. It is absolutely necessary. That light is fine. You can just sit close to the screen. That's okay. This discussion is that we're about to have this evening. Unfortunately, Oren is not here with us. I think he's had a family situation, a passing in his family, and so we would not have him here. But of course, we look forward to having a discussion with him and others in the not too distant future. Welcome, Brother Jinnah. You can have your opening remarks, and thereafter we shall engage in discussion based on video footage and other discussions that we have.
Okay. Well, I've had my full share of Mocha. I was on CN Sharma Television Channel 6 yesterday, and we had nearly 2 hours discussions on other things, but Mocha was an important um, item on the agenda yesterday. Um, but my views is quite well known, and I've been very elements within the PPP leadership have been very abusive to me. In fact, Donald Ramatar said in a message to me that I am a sick man. I'm a sick man. That I
That's
am,
President Ramatar.
yes, former President Ramatar. Quite surprising. A former colleague of mine. I will call him a friend because I think that he's confused and he has betrayed the interest that he stood for many, many years ago, like myself. The funny thing is that I have not shifted my position. In fact, years gone by, I have strengthened my position and my allegiance to ordinary working class and people in the farming community in particular that I represent. I've been representing for more than 50 years. But this is the crux of the matter. I mean, we'll come to the details of what, because you are there, you have more inside information of what you saw. So I will allow you to actually deal with that. But to make the political point, and this is politics, whoever may try to deny it's not. It is politics because politics governs economics. And what is happening in Mocha, it's the demolition of those people's homes and their properties is economics, that they remove them because they want total control, the establishment, the elite, political elite in this country, linked with big business, want to use that place to set up businesses and to make money. That is the crudest way I could put it. I challenge Ramatar on that, and I say the time will come when I will be proven right that those people, according to the reports and according to what you have shown us graphically, that there was no need for those people to be removed from there. If a road was going to be passed and there was any obstacle, then obviously they could have negotiated a peaceful resolution to the matter. But as far as what I saw from what you showed, I think I came to the conclusion that there was absolutely no need for those people to remove from there. So I allow you to talk about what you saw and show what you when you were there, what you discovered.
Well, I
I think
appreciate that. And I would encourage others to share the broadcast too so that this can be, of course, ventilated as widely as possible. Because I know injustice when I see it. But Jenna, there's a terminology being used, and I think we should discuss that before we proceed. Where the and I would preface that by saying that the political figures in our country, in reference to leadership, that is, because every Guyanese is political. Once you discuss matters or have an interest in what happens in your country, because law speaks to governance. But the political figures in leadership in our country, they use this term politicizing a matter whenever things do not play in their favor. And so the PPP Civic is saying, their figureheads are saying that APNU AFC, essentially the PNC, that they're trying to politicize this Mocha issue, this Mocha Arcadia issue. Now, I know that you have a very, or should have a very good handle on what this whole terminology speaks to. But for the sake of the viewers who do not understand, what is the folly in what the PPP is saying? That, listen, you're trying to politicize this matter. Is it not political in the first place? How did houses get to crumble? And why would Irfan Ali, as president, being paid to be president, have something to say? Is the president not a political figure of the country? But I'll give you a chance to speak to that.
Well, a lot of terminology that over the period since Ali became president have been using all kinds of words and phrases which are meaningless, and we can discuss some of them later on. But the one that you refer to is the one at Mocha, which is more specific to what they're trying to say. That they use the word politicize, meaning that um, people are trying to gain traction on an issue that is not real, that is not that it doesn't have any mileage.
Mm-hmm.
And by saying that, it is kind of camouflaging the real issue, which is to say that they have forcefully removed people who have legitimately occupied areas of lands in the country which belongs to them. And to justify their action as a rear guard, they're trying to say that people like us, and well, people like us, because if you go when we come to discuss, you will see how the political apparatchiks in this country, led by people like Aubrey Norton, that sold the people right down the drain, and he himself. And you can see the politics operating there, where people are making silly excuses for doing what they're doing. Aubrey Norton, in my view, has collaborated with the establishment to actually allow them to carry out that atrocity that took place there, because he failed to lead the people. Then in an interview, I don't know whether you saw it in the Demerara Waves, where he said that he was not told, or he was not called by the people at Mocha to actually help them in, in what was happening.
I
So,
found it very, very strange, because there is a member of parliament in Nimeflu Bess who was there on the ground. So I don't know how he was not called and why he had to be called. I always said there's mobilization before there's destruction. Machinery had to be assembled there, and then destruction had to begin. I don't know what he means by he was not called.
well, that shows the backwardness of his leadership, because he's supposed to be the leader of the official opposition in this country, and he ought to know what is going on in every corner of the country, because our country is so structured, where you have members of parliament um, in every region of the country. In fact, in some regions you have two member of parliament,
Correct.
one for the opposition, one for the governing party. Plus, you have each of these regions have regional councillors that are governed either by the ruling party or by the opposition party, and so on, or independents and so. So then and then you have a third tier of governance, a local government, where you have the NDCs, where the local councillors in each NDC area, neighbor NDC areas, they have councillors depending on the number of councillors in the area. Each of them has a constituency. For him to tell us that he didn't know, having all that structure, shows his total incompetence and total neglect of, of representing the people of this country. We have to remember, and this is very serious, that all these members of parliament, regional councillors and NDC councillors, they swear to, on a pledge that they will represent all the people of the country or all the constituents where they were elected. So there is no excuse at all. And for him to extricate himself on such a major issue that has become an international issue
Correct.
as we speak, because of its nature, because of the connection between the people who are there, particularly who are descendants of people of African descent, who had bought those lands after the emancipation of enslavement in 1838. So there is no excuse about the legitimacy of those people there, as you have established. And in fact, the leader of Roar,
Ravi.
Ravi Dev, had said that in a letter, that he himself has established the fact that those lands belong legitimately to those people. And when we come forward to discuss it, you will see the negligence of the leadership in the PNC, going back to the time of Granger, how they totally neglected the people of African descent and did not pay attention to their needs and to their rights.
Okay, well, we get to that. But the politicizing terminology I really wanted, and I'm happy that you did speak to it, because it's a very, very easy usage in reference to verbiage for people to say you politicizing something, hence they seek to stop someone from pursuing a particular path. And it's important for us to have had that discussion. I want to present a video very early in this broadcast so that viewers can have an opportunity to see what I saw on the ground, reminding you all that before video evidence came forth, the argument was that the individuals in reference to the house location, the location of the houses, were blocking, and persons were demonstrating with their hand, you're blocking the passage of the road, and they were in the path of the road. That was what many media outlets were selling, because Guyana has got a propaganda machinery, even in the media. And some there was a survey done, and they discovered that certain media houses are known to be advocates and apologists for the PPP, while others are for the PNC. So there are very few independent journalists in this country, if any. And so we've got a conundrum here and a difficult task at hand, because when you rely on the media to speak to you truthfully, you can't even get that nowadays in Guyana, because somebody is paid, and of course, if they say the wrong thing, they do not receive advertising benefits, which would be a lot of money. That's how they run their corporations. Now, you're being a journalist, you know exactly what I mean when I speak to independent journalism, and we don't have that in this country. We have people who are told what to say, and if you don't say what they want you to say, then you don't get certain benefits, and that is just unfortunate. So permit me to play the first clip, Brother Jinnah, so that people can see what I saw in Mocha. And you viewers who are watching here, you can tell us what your knowledge of the situation would have been in reference to what you were told. Remember, they told the people were on the road, the people were blocking the road couldn't pass unless they removed the individuals. So let us see if that is what transpired when I was there. It's muddy, but we make it. You good? All right. Now remember, there was a talk by Ali and others that these residents were in the roadway, right? Remember that talk, right? Okay. That was one argument, that they're in the roadway, and so they can't get to build a road. So wherever you see this mud, houses were here. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a down road. The house they went direct on this down and went back.
The house was a little off. Okay. So let me show you evidence now. Remember, if Ali said exactly this road is finished,
All this. So, Mike, let's show the whole world what happened in Mocha. I was told, Guyanese were told, that this young man and other people were living where the road has to pass. So houses were here, right? Houses were here where I'm standing. Where the mother's dad's house. Show them where the road is, please. Now, on the east bank at Grove, houses are much closer to the road than that. Where they're fixing Grove right now in those neighborhoods, the PPP strongholds, houses are almost, when they finish with that, the house will be almost on the road, like Barbados. These people are living here. The news first was that the road is coming here, and they're blocking the road. Now, you don't build a road overnight, so you have to have a plan as to where this road to go. Years ago, look at where the road is. Hope I could walk close and show y'all, because this is criminal. Look at where the road is. You got some mud, right? I understand. Look at where the road is. Look at where the road is. Look at where the people are living here. How does this affect that?
Brother Jenna, speak please.
Well, I did see the video before, so I'm not surprised. I'm conversant with it. That's why it helped me in yesterday's program. I don't know whether you saw it, and I had a full view. I had a full day of that situation there, and nobody called in to actually justify what this administration has done. Nobody called in. It's a phone-in program. Quite surprisingly, people
I'll,
did not call in.
I'll put you solo on the screen so you can speak. Go ahead.
Yes. Um, yes, on yesterday's Sharma program, Voice of the People, nobody called in to criticize, to support the administration for what it did to the people at Mocha. And in fact, there was more criticism against what they did and no justification for what they did. And so your video was graphically um, shown that and completely nailed the lie about that the people had to be moved because a road had to be passed. Let us for the sake of the discussion um, remind people about the last time we did speak about it, but now that you have come up with graphic evidence of the truth about the matter, and here we're talking about truth, and those who are offended should understand that it is about the truth, nothing but the truth and the whole truth. So we have no personal axe to grind because we are not living there, but we have an interest and we have the right to defend people when they are oppressed, exploited, discriminated, politically, racially, gender wise, age wise. That is what this program is all about, what this movement is all about. And let me remind every single one who is listening or who will be looking at it in the future that what you brought out there is the total uh, what I can't find sometimes words to describe these things, because it is beyond my comprehension what they did there. And you're quite right. We still have the administration is still giving out. I won't call the farmers now, but he came here today, and he told me that Uncle, I got my transport, for where I live. Well, for the viewers, he lives exactly on the highway in Region 3. His house is no more than, I would say, less than a rod. If you know, a rod is 12 feet. Less than 12 feet from the main highway at Eichflot. So the things that separate where he is a canal which runs, if you know where Eichflot is, along the Eichflot Community Center. There was a canal there that separates the Ifat Community Center and the road. That's what separates it. And the gentleman lives road, along that road, aligning to the community center. So it belies the nonsense. And if you travel along all the way, in fact, my relatives here at Ledestein lives, as you know, the same the same distance on the highway. So there are hundreds of thousands of Guyanese who occupy their residence are placed on all the major roads throughout the country, from Essequibo Coast, East Bank Essequibo, West Coast Demerara, Quarantine West Berbice, and Quarantine Berbice. Nobody can dispute that. So there's overwhelming evidence that there is discrimination. You can call it racial discrimination, political discrimination, whatever form of discrimination, because discrimination is when it's defined as when you treat one section of your population unfairly against another section. That is why, let me report this. When I reported on my Facebook about what is happening in my area where people are currently building, and these are people of Indian descent, building structures on a government state reserve. They're doing it as I speak to you. And as I am speaking to you, I heard from a few of them, in fact, some of them have been calling me madly today, that they have probably given them notice to break down their structures. So they wanted to show that there is no disparity in what they're doing, that there's no racial discrimination. But you can't take that away. It also has already been done,
Correct.
and it is a stain on the administration. And it doesn't matter what Ali says, it doesn't matter what he says, the action has already been taken. And the nonsense about them taking the matter, Aubrey Norton, and them discussing and taking the matter to the court, it's shameful because, as I said many times, they have locked the gate when the horse would have gone because the 26 people have left the area and the 7 people they demolished their homes. I don't know from your report whether there's any other any houses or that they've been left there.
Nothing.
So it's become
And
a
what
graveyard.
what they've done exactly, perfect terminology, because I'll show you another video clip where what they've done, they've buried even the animals that were slaughtered. Now, I spoke to a vet. I'm so sorry that Aaron is not here, because I spoke to a vet, one who had serious, major responsibility in Guyana, and he said that even in their circle, it is very disturbing because the law does not permit anyone, and I know that, you cannot slaughter animals just on a whim. You can't say because the people are living in a particular place, you could kill their livestock and bury it alive. That is not what is supposed to happen. So the atrocities that have been committed here are so insurmountable that the PP Civic cannot dig themselves out of this hole. And as you're saying, Nima Flew Best, the member of parliament from Mocha, deserves to be, in my view, highly commended because she was there from the beginning. However, she has authority figures in the person of Aubrey Norton. And if Norton being the official leader of the opposition, I saw him once on the day arguing or trying to negotiate with somebody for them to stop. I mean, he's the official leader of the opposition. And I would like Guyanese to take note of the fact that Norton has only been arrested once, and not when he was leader of the opposition. He's never been arrested as leader of the opposition. He has never even been handcuffed or freely taken on his own volition to any police area to say you have been fighting or resisting a particular action and hence you are under arrest. He has never been.
And he doesn't want to be because
No,
in that same interview,
exactly.
In that same interview, he said that he wants to avoid any confrontation which will lead to violence. Now, when people are struggling, look, I was locked up, charged. I've been on many demonstrations during the time of the Barnum administration, protesting on all kinds of things, farmers' issue, all kinds of issues, and I've been arrested, charged, put on trial, all kinds of things. So when you are in protest, when you are trying to establish your rights and your interest, you don't think about what are going to be the consequences. Nobody knows. It's just like when you wake up in the morning and you're driving your vehicle to Georgetown, you don't know that you might have an accident. And
Correct.
if you are thinking, look, I'm going to have an accident, I'm not going to go, then you always have to stay home. Life doesn't work like that, particularly in the situation where you are leading people, in a situation where you are opposed to an administration. I am not saying, and we have not on this program or any other program that we speak, we do not advocate any form of violence.
No.
And we wanted to make it absolutely clear, because I have been charged for reasons that I still cannot come to terms with, because I oppose the Burnham government. And I have never raised a gun. I've never organized for anybody to do that either, because I think there is precedent for that. Even the American Revolution, they had to fight with guns to get the British out of their country, and so on, and other countries too. I mean, the South Africans had to engage in a guerrilla warfare to get rid of the apartheid regime. So there is room, and there are times when people will have to take extreme measures. But here is a situation where Mr. Norton had the opportunity. It's important to talk about this, because the reasons why the people could not stand up to the rigors of this administration. And we saw the brutality meted out against those people for reasons I cannot understand. And we were even discussing among other people, Guyanese of Indian descent today, and they said they found, so it's not a racial thing, it's not one race against another race. These people are farmers, and you and I have an interest in representing them as
Exactly.
leaders of the farming community. So
Exactly.
we have a legal duty, a moral duty, to represent those and to speak on behalf of those people who are farmers like us. So when people come to say that we are politicizing this thing, it's got nothing to do with that. It's about us defending the rights of our fellow members who are farmers legitimately getting a living. I said yesterday that this administration should be ashamed, because on the one hand they are talking about reducing the importation of food by 25% by
Mm-hmm.
2025,
25.
and you are destroying the livelihood of people who are farming, who are producing food
On that
for
note, yeah, on that note,
themselves
yeah,
and the
on that
nation.
note, one of the ladies to whom I spoke, and you see her shortly, she has 20 head of cattle on the same area, because there are few people who are involved in cattle, in the cows. The other woman, she had 76 head of cows. She can only
What?
account for 13.
What?
13 are in the Mocha Arcadia, somewhere they had sent aside. And when my wife and I were driving the other night, I said, look on the new highway. I call it the Carrion Crow Road, where they have the eagle right there. They were about 30 or 40 head of cattle just roaming at night on highway because they have nowhere to go. Of course, animals are very habitual in how they function.
Yeah,
So
they have to go to
because
cover
of
ground.
constant intake, exactly. So they have nowhere to go. When I asked one of the ladies, now I know because I am trying to source meat and so on, and now for business that I do, a one cow can cost you almost $200,000.
Yes, yes,
And this woman
correct.
has lost 20 like that. And Irfan Ali and others are trying to justify this foolishness. Now, how can you have somebody losing 76 head of cattle at one time? The man lost 200 almost. He had 200 pigs. So
Here
this
is
was
where,
not a poor community.
okay,
And look at what they're doing to farmers, as you rightly saying. So
yes.
these are farmers, and the argument was that the people said to them, rightfully so, where would we take our livestock? Now, I don't know if you know this, Brother Jenna and viewers, but they were saying, and the way Ali sold it was, listen to what Ali said, and deception in what he's saying. He said, listen, you have got land for your farm. And I played the clip last week. He said, don't listen to Abner, what they're trying to politicize and so on. We given you land to farm and a house. He didn't tell us that the land is in Long Creek on the Linden and the Suzac Linden Highway. So the people are living in Mocha, Arcadia, and they're told they're going to be given land at Long Creek on the Suzac Linden Highway inland. However, Brother Jenna, the people have never seen the land. Some of them don't even know where Long Creek is. So how am I taking 76 head of cattle where I don't even know if grass is? Long Creek is
Exactly.
not known for any cow being reared and so on like that. It's a sandy area. Do you see the wickedness at play here? So Ali is saying, and he's been found to be disingenuous and outright lying on so many
Okay,
occasions.
I'm glad
Because
you
he's
used the
saying
word
to
lying.
farmers that he will take care of them, but your cow will be in Long Creek and you could live wherever it is. How does that work? He never
What
told
I,
people how they're going to get there. They never spoke about transporting the animals on the people's behalf. Never spoke about how much land they'll get. Because 76 head of cattle cannot just roam in a 1 acre land. But we have to speak to this. Please look at what they've done to the cattle farmers. Look at what
so,
they've done to them.
so what this has done really is to totally expose the administration about agriculture in particular. Because if we have people who, and in our constitution, it has lands for the tillers.
Yes,
So if you have people who are eager to do farming, it is the administration that is in office has a fiduciary responsibility, a constitutional responsibility to provide the necessary lands and resources for those people to rear and to farm. And they have failed to do that. They have failed to do. The problem we have in this country is that we do not have the kind of judiciary that people can fast track their matters, as
exactly
these
so.
are urgent matters which needs attention. I know a farmer, maybe I can call his name, who was given 300 acres of land somewhere in your area there, and he was an ex-army colonel, and,
Losing,
and
massive loss.
he's losing. In fact, today he called me and he couldn't even speak because he's sick and he's losing the animals through theft and flooding and all these type of things. We went to see, I went with him, I organized a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture a month ago. And the Minister of Agriculture, you can literally, I was sitting next to him. He literally sat on the edge of the chair and he didn't spend more than 10 minutes with us. This is the
Wow.
kind, and then he said to us that you see, the other ministers in last administration would not even see us. That is true. But here is where you're talking about doing better than others. And if just to see a farmer who is in distress, who took nearly 3 months to see you, and all you can do is to instruct your officer to go and talk to the Ministry of Agricultural officers, and nothing has been done since we met the minister. So
Oh,
tomorrow, I will have to call the minister and say to him, listen, we came to see you and nothing has been done.
right,
Let
right.
me say to people in a broader sense, because what we are seeing playing out at Mocha is a major crisis in agriculture, a major crisis, economic crisis, because if you're having to borrow billions of dollars to sustain the economy, you have to ask yourself the question, are we in a healthy economic state? And they talk about the the growth rate of this country is the highest in the world.
Yeah.
So if the growth rate is the highest in the world, what is the benefit of the growth rate? If something
All
is,
Guyanese.
huh?
Was a benefit to all Guyanese.
Yes, what is the benefit for the majority of people who are supposed to receive the growth? If the economy is growing by 28%, which is massive in world history, because the highest growth rate, as I know, consistently was the one in China, which is 8% growth rate for a period of 5 to 10 years. But even in China, which is a highly developed economy now, their growth rate has dropped to about 6 to 5%. Now,
We've hit
if we
40,
have a,
we've hit 48% or
huh?
46%. Our growth, our economic rate has hit 46%.
But what do they mean by that in statistical terms? How does that play out for the ordinary person who's listening to this conversation, this discussion, and the thousands of Guyanese outside there who are catching their tail?
Well, I'm happy that you're asking that question, and of course, I know you know the answer. What they do is they look at what, in reference to earnings, what is coming into the country, or what's the country earning, of course, through oil, which is our major source of income now. And they're saying that based on the discoveries of Exxon and what's being sold in the projection, and given what Guyanese used to have across the board, when you add up what we all earn and divided by the number of people in the population, we are now growing significantly, exponentially. What the IMF and the World Bank doesn't say is, and of course the IMF tried to say the other day, they do not say that they are friends of the political parties who benefit the most. They don't say that. They don't say that the politicians are the ones who are going to get the hug of this and their friends. Because I showed a daughter of mine today, I said, okay, look at this. Even in Lindenberg, Virginia, I said, look at this. You see the people who have got a contract to install lights and so on around our community? Look at where they came from. Not Linden. So this maybe be a multi-million-dollar contract, but none of the workers essentially are the owner of the companies from here. So they are the friends of the party are getting a lot of benefits. So the growth about which we speak doesn't trickle down to ordinary people. And even Sarah Ann Lynch couldn't hold her tongue and say, listen, you all have to do better. You have to at least try. Try to do what now? As you said, the gate is closed and the horse is gone. These people have realized that they can do anything to Guyanese and just give you a handout here and there. And that is what we consider, or people consider to be beneficial to them. Why should farmers have to suffer tremendously in this time when the country's economy is so strong, according to their argument? If we have to feed the country, then we should be given priority. But I didn't see that. I see friends getting thousands of acres. And what do we get? Hassle.
They get the thousands of acres, brother, but they are not small farmers. The idea is, look, I mean, we need to broaden the discussion to let people understand policies, political policies, and program, and whether whatever amount of money comes into the country, whether the policies and program are going to be beneficial, are going to be used in the interest of the vast majority of people. That's where the problem is. When you say friends, family, and party hacks are benefiting, it is becoming clearer and clearer every day that the vast majority of people are not benefiting from the 28% growth in the economy. Because for that to happen, you have to give to the people who are the real producers of wealth in the country, that is workers and farmers. If you don't give them the kind of benefits and the kind of facility for them to produce, and it's not easy. Let me say to people who are not farmers, and you're a farmer, you understand all the intricacies, all the difficulties that you are faced, that you have to face with. It doesn't matter what is the weather condition, when you have to go to look after your animals, even when you live on the farm, you still have to go to look after your animals at different hours, all kinds of hours. And so, therefore, not only that you cultivate or you rear your animals for sale, the difficult thing that people have is to find lucrative market for their produce. And
Exactly.
this administration is not doing anything like the last one. It's a lot of talk, talk and talk and more talk, and
Yeah.
nothing is achieved in relation behind those talks, because we know that
Exactly.
farmers, if we can examine, look, you are closing down people who are farmers who are producing wealth in your country, food for the nation. And then you turn around and talk nonsense about food security. How are you going to secure food when the people who are the producers of food, you are denying them the opportunity to look after themselves, first of all, to feed themselves, and secondly, that the surplus that they produce, that surplus is sold or exchanged to other people, consumers in the country. Because the people who live in the urban areas, unfortunately, can't plant. So the vast majority of people in the urban areas, they have to be dependent on farmers to produce.
Exactly.
Do you know that we are importing food from Brazil?
Yes. Citrus and other things are coming from Brazil
Right. So
by the tons.
if we are producing food from Brazil, tell me, anybody who has any sense, tell us, how is it that you are going to fulfill this commitment that you gave to people and you internationalize it to such an extent? You were at a conference
Yes,
when
I
they
was.
were talking about this rubbish, about 20 reducing food in the Caribbean by 25% by
The import.
2025.
Right.
In
And it
fact,
was increased. So we've increased the importation now in the even the citrus is being
look,
imported. But
we have
let me show this other clip so you can have a hold of this with the viewers as well, Brother Gina. This is where you're going to hear what I consider to be the most criminal in reference to the behavior of this administration. But here it is.
And I have seen a photograph where there's a number, and I talk to them about this. There's a number painted on the CV16. That was it.
All the house.
I was sleeping.
So your house is at number. Your CV6. Who put those numbers on your house? Because I'm talking to them.
House, yeah.
Let me get this straight. Because some people, Ali, you seem to be missing the whole point here. If your houses have got a marking on it, CV16, CV6, you say housing, put that there.
Yeah.
Can somebody tell me why they put it there?
And the land was filed to pick it.
Pick
So a
it.
surveyor had to come in.
Yeah.
So he was.
So a surveyor had to come to survey the people's land, and they had to picket it. So it means that everybody has what's called an allotted land. Essentially, they're making house lots for y'all.
Yeah.
Okay. When there was election, did anybody vote? Anybody voted there? Or you could have voted?
Yeah.
All right. In order for you to vote in Ghana, you have to have proof that you're Guyanese and you belong to somewhere in a particular location. You can't say you from London and go and vote in Essequibo without having just cause. So your houses had numbers on them to prove that you belong to this area and you're in some subdivision of some sort. Housing put those numbers on your houses or those codes. Did they tell you why they put those codes on your houses?
Because they're regularizing us.
They were going to regularize.
Yeah.
So
And
how
let
did
me turn the
Uh-huh.
boys be front. Let me turn it to the back and make it a front because the road will be passing in the back there.
they advised you all to do that?
Yes. And build strong foundation. That's what they tell us. Mr. Charles, there's a turn your front to your where's your back leg become your front.
Right.
And because a road gonna be passing the back there, and then they come back the next year when and they put numbers on the house and the surveyor can put picket. So everybody land, they know what part the boundary line was.
So it means then that your house is not in any road.
No.
If they were going to tell you, if they put pickets in the ground, mark your house and say turn the road in another direction, because the road would
Even
pass
when
behind
they
the
come
house.
and keep the meeting the year before the last, right? It's not last year before the last, they turn and said that the knives, the engineers say, the knives and the dust gonna affect us. That is why we have to relocate, y'all. We said we could live with knives and dust because if all the rest of public road people living with it,
Correct.
why we can't live with
Right,
it?
because they pass through Southern Veld.
Good. So there's what this, we said we could live with it. So they said they're going to relocate us. So and they said we have several meetings to keep. This is only the first one. We have several meetings to keep them never come back and keep no more meeting. All you see people start going in 1,000. They're calling people and they're going in 1,000.
Oh.
That is what happened.
And then some people
And
just start moving
when
away
you
from
go
the area.
in, they tell you what they have to tell you. When you come out, you mustn't tell me what is my agreement I make in there.
That's the lodge.
They can't discuss what you agreement you make. Even when they draw the money, you cannot come out and say how much money they compensate you. Because nobody disclose like how much money they compensate.
If you were living in one community, I think you would have had a group of people who were represented and
So
said,
well, that is
you all
why
sit together.
we said hold out. And say because remember we want to go in and when done, we not agree with what we get.
Right.
We not say, my son billing at the back. When he go in, engage with them, they still don't have nothing to give him. And he billing.
Oh my God.
He
And knock the
billing.
structure down too.
Yes, done, son. Feel everything got blocks up.
So there's quite a bit to do on there.
So that's corruption.
Exactly. There's quite a bit to
Corruption,
do.
nepotism, favoritism, all in one. Because what should have happened is that the community should have been involved, the entire community, in the process of what there is going to happen in the area, and for them to actually engage. And if there was going to be any movement of people, it had to be a collective approach towards it.
Correct.
Because the government should have, according to their to laws and so on, they could have taken the matter to the court and let the court adjudicate and get themselves out of the mess that they found themselves. But they know, not Dalal and Ali knows, that if they had gone to the court to seek an eviction of those people based on laws, that they didn't stand on good grounds, because the courts could not have, it would have dragged it out, because even if the court would have ruled in their favor, they would have gone to the appeal court, and then eventually you would have gone to the Caribbean Court of Appeal, and they were not sure whether that they would have won it. And that situation still needs to go through the court, because those people can reclaim those lands. If I have transport for a piece of land and you come arbitrarily and remove me, it's illegal. There is no law on land law which says that if I have a transport for land, and if you're removing me to actually construct a road, then you can't take away all my land. You cut the road through part of my land, isn't it? As
Yes,
happened.
but the issue with them is that they've never, and that's where we spoke to go into situation. They have no transport in their hand. What they have is a claim to ancestry, not
Yeah, but you
transport.
see, you see, that is where um, Granger's coming into this picture,
Yeah.
because he who claims to be a historian should have known that an Aubrey Norton is also playing the fool of himself as the opposition leader. He's unfit to be opposition leader. I don't see him lasting this year as opposition leader, because the scandal, the huge scandal about money, accountable for money in the PNC, is huge. I don't know, you saw that video that
Well, we
you
can
had.
yeah,
You
the
had
voice
three.
note. We can
There's no
transition.
there's no secret about that. The three leading people in the party are laying accusation against him, and he can't answer. Up to now, he has not responded openly, transparently on the accusation. Does he expect the people of this country to elect him as a president? Is he, because he'll be committing the same atrocity as Ali has done, who had 19 charges against him and then became president? That is not going to happen, Mr. Aubrey Norton. Nobody's going to vote for you to become president, so you should leave that portfolio and go and plant sugarcane or something. These guys are useless. And, people have got to come to realize that they have a responsibility to elect the right people and to remove them when they are not doing what they were elected to do.
Yeah, but the difference between Norton and Ali, justly so, is that Ali was before the court. Norton has not been charged, so there's been not any investigation launched and so on. I think they're speaking to
So
that now.
what
That
I'm
wants
saying,
investigation.
he'll end up charged by his party, In fact, if he can't give proper account, Brother Nigel, if he cannot give proper account and he's found to have, I don't know the facts, but if he's found to have embezzled funds, someone of the members somewhere will take him to the court.
They have a
These
right to do so.
and they
They have
have
a
the
right
right
to do
to
so.
do that. And that
But,
is what
but
I'm saying. The
I
potential for
understand.
that is
I
there.
understand. But the point I would like for us to look at is the obvious disintegration of some sort of this group of people at such a time, because this will only weaken Norton further. And if he's the official leader of the opposition, and there's an area that is known demographically speaking, electorally so, for to have supported him, or the party, I should say, in an election, because the member of parliament is from there, then we have got a crisis in reference to how this country is governed. You see, my concern and yours would be always, and most Guyanese, we have an interest in how our country is governed. Good governance benefits all Guyanese. If you've got two leaders now, Ali and now Norton, accused of being corrupt, this is terrible for the image of this country. Because who can point the finger at whom if these things are found to be so? I hope Guyanese can understand that the depth of the crisis we face here, where you have two men, neither would be able, if it's found to be true, to say to the other, well, you're corrupt. and look at the caliber of persons in that discussion. You said Mary Paul, a very popular figure, whether he's effective, he's still popular.
He's a member of parliament.
And one
And
on the public,
the
public,
shadow,
public
no, both of them are shadow ministers.
That's what I'm
Naipaul
saying.
is the shadow minister of local government.
And we have Rosalind Ford, Shadow Minister of Legal Affairs.
Attorney General.
Right,
And
Attorney General. And then the treasurer of the party.
treasurer. The other guy who's accusing Norton is the treasurer. So
And-
you have
Yeah, and look
the leadership
in
of the
that,
organization.
sorry, in that voice note you heard, I heard the treasurer speaking to and my Paul, he was referring to the experience they had in reference to racism.
Yes, by
Now
one
that
person.
is serious,
That's very serious. That's very serious to an
because the
organization.
former general secretary, I think somebody spoke about that in some other note as well, whereby she experienced the same. So how do we have this? And the person said, Norton is very, very unkind towards his ethnicity. Now, these are accusations, I must caution people, but they are damning accusations. They are very, very dangerous for the governance of our country. And I would like to say that the health of our country depends on the quality of leaders that we have. And that's what Regina and I and the People's Movement keep saying forever. There has to be a particular quality of leadership for there to be respect in our nation. Now, how do you have a man who's saying the treasurer? This is not some member of the party somewhere in a rum shop talking. This is the man who handles the checks and the records, the financial records of the party, saying that he was instructed to sign the check.
Here what
25 blank checks, just sign it off. Now, that if that is so, that is high class misappropriation and impropriety. That is trouble.
look at how Ramutar, Donald Ramutar, former president. I'm reading from my note from my from the discussion I had with him on my WhatsApp. He says the article I wrote about I don't know if you saw it. The article I wrote about Mocha when I said that the destruction of this woman's house and her dismissal. I think we didn't mention that the
You
woman's
should.
house was demolished and the woman was employed with the Ministry of Home Affairs. I think we need to put it on record so people in the national community can understand. Her home was demolished. She was legitimately protesting against the demolition of her house, and she was dismissed as a result of protesting against the demolition of her home
Or home.
by the
Imagine
Ministry of Home Affairs.
imagine that.
Yes. So I said in my article here that the destruction of this woman's house, which is I have a video of it, and her dismissal because she protested against the demolition of her home, must become a national and international protest.
Mhm.
I sent
I
it
saw that. Yeah.
out to many people, and Ramutar responded to me, and hear what he said. A man who was a president of a country. I know Ramutar very well when I worked in the people, a colleague of his. He said, "Boy, you have lost all rationality." Can you believe that? Hear what he said? "Boy,
Wow.
you have lost all rationality." He said, "Your position is objectively giving grist, GRIST, to the racist PNC positions."
How?
I don't know. So I said to him, I said, "Greetings, Donald. What what is your stated position?" I asked him that.
Good. Right.
He's not answering. So then I said, "You have allowed Ali and Jagdeo to carry out such levels of attacks on workers and farmers, and you have remained completely silent." Yes, this is the man who was the president of the country. Then he
Hmm.
replied, you know what he said? He said, "You are really sick."
Oh my gosh.
And then he said, "I will call you tomorrow." That was today. He never called.
Uh,
And then I continued with the conversation with him. He said that when I said it is only a matter of time that you will have seen the banner of socialism raised again. Hear what he said, because they abandoned those ideas which are
yeah.
working class ideas. Then what he said that's a different issue from Mocha.
Also, Mocha issue not socialism.
No,
It's capitalism, where the rich will take
I,
everything away from the poor.
I said, "Donald, I may be sick, but I am expressing my sickness to everyone." Then he said, "You are on the side of PNC racists."
Wow.
So I said to him, I said, "But as a leading political activist, why can't you openly discuss your own thoughts?" He's not answering. Then I said, "I'm very surprised that you accuse me of being on the side of racism." Then he said, I'll call you tomorrow and try to correct you going to sleep." And I finished by saying, "More than most people to make such blunt statements is highly dishonest." I said, "Sleep well, my comrade." Well, the reason why I've read that to you, because I am showing you, right, how people who are supposed to have some level of decency and who want to rule this country and have ruled the country, because he was president,
Yes.
look at the views and opinion. And up to today, he cannot himself come out and make an honest statement
Wow.
about what he thinks and give a balanced approach to the whole thing. He cannot.
He's not
So,
allowed.
well, you can't say it's not allowed. I mean, who's stopping you from saying what you have to say? Or I, for instance.
We're free to talk. I can tell you that. We're free to say a
Well,
lot.
but didn't we make ourselves free because that's the only thing that we have? That is the only thing we have. What else we have? We have a house to live in. We have maybe have cars to drive around with, and so on. But and we have good health. But what else? We if we can enjoy the freedom to express ourselves and support our fellow human beings when they are in distress, then the question is, what is the purpose of life? And
Exactly.
that is what every single Guyanese living in Guyana, living outside of Guyana, and those people who are looking at it, and a lot of people who are not Guyanese looking at what is going on here because they they hype up this thing about Guyana have more oil than any part of the world and everybody flocking here and so on. So they don't realize the damage that this has caused to them. That
Exactly.
even good people who probably were thinking of investing in the country are very concerned about coming back to the country. Like somebody said, Gwenza didn't say anything. Now these are guys, right, who are supposed to be championing the cause of the people, and he has not said a single word. He's the person who said that is right, has
Correct.
not said a single word. Now, what I before we end this broadcast, I think that a campaign needs to be organized, a national and international campaign for those people, and I would like them to lead that campaign because I don't want it to be a campaign where the people who are affected by it, by this issue, somebody else is leading for them. Because
Right.
what happens is that normally what happens, you get diverted into political interest, and the actual interest of the people is not taken into consideration. So we
And
need
that
to,
is that's important to note that the people should lead. But
yes.
in the clip I played, you heard the woman say that they were isolated or they were flaked. What they were doing according to her report, and it's actually true because the housing verified that. They're calling people in and individually. And they did the same thing when they bulldoze those people houses in the Amelia's Ward area, where they say, come to meeting. And they tell you when they come back, then they call you individually. You go into a room and you alone know what's happening and then you leave. So there's no room for representation. And this administration speaks to transparency. And the tech uses words like transparency and they're open. When it comes to these situations, they are isolating person because they know the power of unity. And it behoves every Guyanese who's right-minded to know that any administration that seeks to isolate you to solve a problem is one that has no interest in community development or community strength. They don't want that. So even if we try to go the route of saying we're going to have individuals uh, uh, get together and let's go forth with the Mocha residents who are affected leading the way or being a part of it, they have already been detached, dismantled. Some have taken, as they said, 26 or 27 people took money, millions of dollars. They're gone. 7 were left because they had livestock to cater to. Of that 7, they still trying. Ali said it, the doors are open. The doors are open. The president talking to you, one who's paid to be president. The doors are open. Open for what? Essentially for people to come and take their money and leave too. So they're isolating these people, and I find it to be political abuse, an abuse of power. If you're going to isolate someone without having them represented by their member of parliament or some civic society group, that is totally wrong. And so the hope of mine to see those individuals gather to lead the charge is slim, but not dead. But I know what is happening with them, and I had to bring that to your attention because
No,
persons of the nature of the band, few
I
that left.
understand what you are saying, and you're right in the way in which you put it. The fact of the matter is that if somebody is incapacitated, then of course that person needs to assistance as much as possible. but there should always be the spokespeople who are affected by the problem. What I'm concerned about is my experience living abroad. Political elements jump on these campaigns and so on, and they divert people's attention,
Yeah.
and the benefit is lost. So what
Correct.
I want to retain the focus on the people, on the victims, and so therefore you get better result as a result of that. But we must. I am suggesting here, so all the people who are listening to this, that that add your name to. We can have a special Zoom discussion privately to see how we can organize this campaign with the people who are affected there. They can come on Zoom because some of them might be afraid to identify, but we if we can have an internal discussion with them and then formulate the campaign in a way in which it has international focus, because the campaign needs to write to international bodies, funding bodies, governments, institutions, public institutions, areas where United Nations, where conventions have been signed for the protection of people and farmers and children and all these things need to be brought to the attention of these people. If we don't tell them, how would they know? Imagine Aubrey Norton, who is supposed to be doing this, is saying, hey, you didn't come and tell me, the problem what you're having there. If you even come and tell me, maybe you'll do something about it. That is the kind of response that we're getting from somebody who constitutionally supposed to represent people.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah, go, carry on.
we should look into it, I must say. But we are the close of our program, and I look forward to us having another discussion. Hopefully, we'll have another one in the week. I always try for us to do so, one or two, because there are so many pressing issues for us to discuss. And hopefully, in the week, we'll talk about the fact that yet again we're seeing that Ali is now offering land, according to the reports, to people, I think, from India now to do farming or whatever it is, and to have industry set up here. And so Guyanese don't seem to be high on the table in reference to acquisition of land for work and to do what they have done here. So we have the discussion because I believe that the land of this country belongs to Guyanese, and it's not going to go anywhere because it's called Guyana for a reason.
Brother, we need to have a special discussion on this particular matter about the administration's policy and program so that people can understand the kind of economic program they are pursuing has got very little to do with the involvement of Guyanese people. The fact
Exactly.
that you can destroy the livelihood of small farmers who are the bedrock of agriculture in this country because you cannot get labor. You cannot get agricultural labor to do farming. So the people who are doing farming, they have to do it themselves. And if you are destroying the very people who are actually the bedrock of the agricultural sector, then you are destroying agriculture, you're destroying the country as a whole.
Well said. What a way to end the broadcast. I can say nothing else. Thank you. Very well said. And I appreciate always your forthrightness, Brother Jenna. We will try to make this another trip I'm making to Mocha, Arcadia. I would certainly love for you to be there because I'm taking.
Yeah, give me enough time. Let me come up
Yes.
there.
Okay. So we'll be going back to Mocha, Arcadia with further aid for these people. I'll be having an interview as well shortly with Simona Brooms because she's one who's really been working on the ground assiduously. So we'll be talking with her to see how things are going because this is the moment where Guyanese must understand that there's a cause. There's a cause for all of us to have deep interest in what happened to these people. And I've already seen the dust begin to settle in many circles because we're not going to allow individuals of any facet or aspect of our society to suffer, and we in the People's Movement be quiet about it. So thank you, Brother General. Let us begin to pen some letters if we can. I know that you're a writer by profession. Let us pen some letters to international agencies. I would like to think that even the labor union should have been involved because a worker was terminated because she protested.
Well, I
She
spoke
didn't bring some policy.
I spoke to one of the union leader, and we are preparing to come up to see you sometime during this coming week.
Well, we try to get that done. I'm going out of town but we'll have a conversation while I'm there. So I may meet you all in the city. Who knows? But we'll
Maybe
have.
we can encourage him to come to the. When are you planning? You must let me know when you're planning.
I'll
to
let
come.
you know. Okay, I'll let
Yeah.
you know. So,
Right.
viewers, thank you so much, Brother Jinnah. As always, thank you very much for your time here with us this evening. As
Okay.
always, we appreciate your being here. So that was Brother Jinnah Rahman and I having a discussion about about what was happening in Mocha Arcadia. I appreciate your understanding. I think that it's getting clearer now. And I want to leave you this evening with the video clip that shows what I saw, and from my camera lens, what the truth is about Mocha Arcadia. Watch, and let this be the judge of what happens in our country.
It's muddy, but we make it. You good? All right. Now remember, there was a talk by Ali and others that these residents were in the roadway, right? Remember that talk, right? Okay. That was one argument, that they're in the roadway, and so they can't get to build a road. So wherever you see this mud, houses were here. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the damn road. The house that they went direct on this down and went back.
The house was a little off. Okay.
So far away.
So let me show you evidence now. Remember, if Ali said exactly this road is finished, all this. So, Mike, let's show the whole world what happened in Mocha. I was told, Guyanese were told, that this young man and other people were living where the road has to pass. So houses were here, right? Houses were here where I'm standing. Where the mud is, that's the house. Show them where the road is, please. Now, on the east bank at Grove, houses are much closer to the road than that. Where they're fixing Grove right now in those neighborhoods, the PPP strongholds, houses are almost, when they finish with that, the house will be almost on the road, like Barbados. These people are living here. The news first was that the road is coming here, and they're blocking the road. Now, you don't build a road overnight, so you have to have a plan as to where this road to go. Years ago, look at where the road is. Hope I could walk close and show y'all, because this is criminal. Look at where the road is. You got some mud, right? I understand. Look at where the road is. Look at where the road is. Look at where the people are living here. How does this affect that?